Hey everyone, happy Friday. Hey
Hello.
Neil, what's going on?
Hey guys, how are
How
y'all?
you feeling? Also, this is really random. I didn't realize that now you can actually comment from Twitter, Ace. Because usually it never showed us
I
the
know.
it's so cool. StreamYard stepping it
Oh
up.
no, StreamYard. Yeah, I can see someone joining from Twitter. Oh, that is neat.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'm excited about that. But all right, y'all, welcome. If you don't know what this stream is, basically this is a stream from TBD where we talk a little bit about the things that we're building, from like tools around self-sovereign identity and a product called Web5 and TBDEX. Particularly today, we're going to talk about verifiable credentials. We're going to get our Swifty memberships. Apparently, nobody on this stream is a Swifty.
Oh
But
no.
we're all gonna get that. So, hey, Tech Girl, hey, Koa. Um, I will stop talking and allow Neil to go ahead and introduce himself. Tell us about yourself, who you are, what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey guys, yeah, I've been working here at TBD, working on Web5 stuff for about a year and a half now. Yeah, and yeah, got really into decentralized stuff and verifiable credentials kind of by accident, like a few years ago. Um, it's just one of those things like where you kind of see that the internet is like super broken, and you try to like I just did this like yesterday, right? Like I try to sign up, try to get like literally for a class, just trying to like sign in and like register for a class, right? It's like go to this random website, you know, you have to hit accept cookies, like, you know, what is all this personal information? Type it all in. Okay, oh, gotta log in. Oh, actually, you already have an account. Let's go ahead and reset the so reset password back, more personal information, log it all in, credit card. It's like a crazy thing. So like when I learned about, and I think everyone's experienced this, right? So when I learned about verifiable credentials a few years ago, and you know, I just kind of really dove in because I think this can really be like a foundational layer that kind of fixes the internet and changes a lot of this stuff. You know, just imagine that you just go to a random website trying to sign up for something, and it just goes to your wallet, and it's like, hey, you know, I have everything I need. You've kept a lot of your privacy. You're signed up for the class. You know, I have what I need. You have what you need. You know, everything's good. So it's kind of what brought me into the space on that.
That's cool. I like that as a like what made you start getting excited about it. Wait, like what was the particular day? Was the day that you were signing up for a class? That was the day that you were like,
Oh no, sorry, yeah, I got it all mixed up. But yeah, just this was many years ago when I kind of saw verifiable credentials and I saw the power of it. I'm like, man, like we really need to keep building this out so that we can replace this workflow that we're still doing today, right? Like the other day, I had that workflow too without verifiable credentials again, you know.
yeah.
So keep building toward the future here and make it happen, you know.
Love it. I like that you're so excited about it. I'm actually also curious, just a little bit like taking a little bit more of a step back into your
Yeah,
past. How did you become a software engineer or when? Like how did that all
yeah.
to be?
For sure. So I think my journey starts as a lot of other people, a lot of other young guys, you know, like I wanted to make video games, right? Super into video games. I'm like, man, I want to make my own. I can be really good at it. So that's one of the big reasons I got into coding in the first place. I think a lot of people maybe start that way. Yeah, and I
I
made a
did.
few really small games for phones, you know, I really got into it. But man, games are like it's you know, it's a lot of work. It's really intense, and luckily it brought me into this space and I got into programming in general. So yeah, I really enjoy what we're doing here.
When I was much younger, there was this Yu-Gi-Oh game, basically a card game where you summon monsters. So I was like, I want to be able to build this game like with holograms and all of those things. So that is exactly why I became a software engineer. I
Yeah.
didn't I didn't build it, but that was a good entry point. Yeah, totally relate.
That's so interesting. That's true. A lot of software engineers are always like, I'm gonna build a game. And then they're like, oh, Unity, all this stuff.
Oh, graphics, physics,
Yeah.
sound, you
Yeah.
know, particle effects, like gameplay. Man, it
Nah,
just goes on and on. Like,
And you have to think a lot more about the user's interactions and
yeah,
handle all these different interactions rather than like
gets
yeah,
on the
crazy.
web. Yeah, on the web you're like click, and
yeah,
you're like,
right.
okay, that's all I gotta care about.
The first
Um,
day I changed the background of a web page from white to red was when I
Whoa,
knew that I was going to be a web engineer for like probably the
that's
rest of
right.
my life.
that is mad exciting when you like Even just putting words on a page, I was like,
Yep.
oh my god.
I'm like, oh my god, this is how Facebook happened. Damn.
Oh man, the MySpace back in the day, right?
Oh yeah, no, I was really going in on MySpace. Y'all should have seen. I had marquees, Twitter, like I was going in. Okay, but besides that, let me go back to the verifiable credentials.
Yeah.
For folks who like you figured out about verifiable credentials like a couple years ago. You said I figured out about it like when I applied to this job, I guess, and started. So for folks, I'm assuming that a lot of folks that are watching the stream don't necessarily know what verifiable credentials are. So could you explain it to us in like your own words or whatever, and let me know if you need to share your screen so I could pop it up here.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, let me share my screen. I have a few little slides on this basically because this mixes people up. You know, even people that have been working on this a while, it's still like a kind of a hard concept. But if we take a step back and really kind of see how this kind of helps humanity and kind of seeing how humanity's been using this for a long time, I think it'll make a lot more sense to people. So I'll just I always like to give this. So this is on our website, by the way. This is developer TBD. You can just search verifiable credentials. But basically, I just like this small definition right here. And I'll just kind of say here. So a verifiable credential is a cryptographically signed statement made by an issuer about a holder, or a subject. And so that sounds kind of crazy. It's all over the place. But what I like to show people is just literally this. This is, I've been watching recently a documentary on the Roman Empire, and they literally have this stuff, right? So this is literally a verifiable credential from like 2,000 years ago. So, it's their form of a verifiable credential. And so, I mean, all a verifiable credential is like, it's information. It's like a statement that maybe the king has made or someone has made, and then they've signed it, right, with their special seal. So, only they have that private key, only they have that special seal. And it's really hard to forge. Well, in cryptographic land, it's impossible to forge, but in Roman land, it was very, very hard to forge. Maybe you could forge it, I guess. But basically it's like, if the king is like, hey, I'm going to give Neil like 100 gold, right? So he would sign it. Neil gets 100 gold, bam, puts it in the thing. He signs it. And now he can give that to me or an independent third, like a messenger, whatever. And then they can go to the treasury and then they know it's authentic, right? They're like, okay, this is legit. Like he said Neil, and that's Neil right there. And this is the information that we know about him. And he says 100 gold. Okay, the king says. So that's literally the same thing as a verifiable credential in this case, right? So
I like that. Sorry to interject. I really like that as an example. It's like verifiable credentials before the internet. Like, of course, you trust that you're actually supposed to get 100. It was a gold or whatever you just said because the king said it, and like only the king will have that stamp.
That's right, exactly. And then now kind of like as long as you have a private key and verifiable credential, like anyone can make a claim about anyone, right? So we're about to issue some Swifty club membership kind of thing, right? So you're part of the membership, right? You're over 18, like whatever the government issues you, right? Like, so yeah. And then I guess kind of diving right into it, like the actual thing that we're kind of building here is Web5 credentials. So this is a whole credential package. And so this is what we're using for the demo today. And yeah, so I'm really happy to share what we kind of got going, and we can hop into it in a little bit here. Before we get into it, was there any do we need to go over anything else, or are we kind of ready to go in?
Yeah, I was gonna sorry, so I was gonna ask, I mean, that was a very good analogy explaining what VCs could look like or used to be like and what they represent today. Looking forward, or even like in the current state of the world, what are like other potential like use cases for VC so people could conceptualize some of those things before we dive right into the code?
Yeah, like a big one, like the default one is like government issued stuff, right? Like it's kind of crazy actually. We live in like on basically 2024 at this point, right? And it's like prove you're a US citizen or something, right? Like, okay, like let me get this paper, let me get this plastic, right? Show you, and they have to like look at it, make sure it's authentic. Like we live in the digital age, right? Like, and I'm sure you guys have all done this too, but you sign up for a new bank account or something, like you have to take a picture of this plastic card, right? Your passport or your, you know what I mean? And then you upload it. And it's like, it's kind of like an embarrassment kind of thing for you know, like everything else is like end-to-end encrypted and highly secure. You know, even your messaging, when you like text your mom or whatever, like it's on secure network layer, you know. But when you buy a house or just do some really intense stuff, moving a lot of money, it's like, hey, show me a PDF that you downloaded from this other random website from Wells Fargo. You know what I mean? Like how much fraud must happen at all times, right? And so if you just replace a lot of stuff with verifiable credentials, it like raises the legitimacy like, you know, 100x, right? It's like, yeah, guys, I have a bank statement from Wells Fargo says, you know, I have all this money or whatever, but you know, I could definitely just make that up, right? It's like so easy to make a fake PDF, right? Whereas if I had like a verifiable credential from Wells Fargo, and it's like, oh, this is signed by Wells Fargo, like it says he has this money for this new house loan or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like super legit, authentic. There's no funny business about that, you know.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. When I did buy my house, it was like, just send me all of this random documents. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, that seems weird. I thought it would be like something more secure. I'm just sending it via email. Like people could go in my email and then get all my stuff. Or even like for my work authorization at this company, because I don't like, I'm not from America. So I'm like, all I did was upload a picture of the card and then I hop on a call and I'm like, this is my card.
Yeah.
It could have been a fake card.
It's crazy, right? It's like we live in a high-tech world, and like I'd say 90% of things are pretty high tech, but this very important thing is like still for some reason extremely old tech that's, you know, still using stuff from like 100 years ago. So it's time to upgrade, you know.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I love it. That was a great question, Ace. Do you have any more?
No, not more, but I was just thinking about, for example, coming to the US as someone that stays outside, like the visa is usually stamped on your passport. I'm sure it's, of course, digitally signed in a way, but when you scan it as well, if that's something that could be replaced by verifiable credentials, like, you know, I have this thing is signed by the US government, I'm allowed to come into the country, blah, blah. I feel like the potential is just like limitless and can literally fit into how our world currently operates.
Yeah, totally. And then something else too is like your privacy. So if you go travel a lot with your passport, your passport's basically public. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but you know, if you go to 5 or 6 different countries, they scan it, they take a picture, it's in their database. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people have really terrible systems where they instantly get hacked and all this stuff. So, you know, a passport, it's not actually that private. It's kind of public anyway. But if you had a verifiable credential, they could maybe just verify and scan. It's like, oh, it's legit, and like your data and your privacy like stays with you. So that's another big benefit of that too. So
I love it. This will reduce so much fraud. Oh, there's a question.
exactly. Yep.
It was basically a comment from Discord saying that you can also issue, like, games can also issue verifiable achievements to players using VCs. So that's cool.
Yep, that'd be good.
That would be fun. Okay, I know we've been stretching it out. We could dive into oh wait, there's one more question. One more question, then we dive into the demo.
In an ideal world, are there things that cannot be verified?
Yeah, well, that is a great question. I mean, you can always verify things like in a low tech way, right? Like, I don't know, like I own a cat, right? So I can verify, I can like show you my cat, right? You know what I mean? So that's like low tech, but it could be a deep fake these days. It's really hard to like understand. So, you know, if you want to go like the next level to like verify, it's like, okay, my vet, you know, this is a registered vet from the US government, and they have said that like I own a cat, you know? So I guess it's like different layers of like verification, I guess. And a VC most of the time can get you at a very, very high level if you kind of super trust the issuers on that. But I'll think about that. If there's something else that like can't be verified, that'd be pretty interesting to think about, actually.
Yeah, that's a good question. A hard question though. Okay, let's dive into the demo. I'm excited.
Sure, guys. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess with all this stuff out of the way, we'll kind of get more technical here. And basically, we're going to just hop into Visual Studio Code. Hope everyone can see pretty good here. And yeah, we're basically going to kind of show off our Web5 credentials library. And you know, we're trying to be like the most user-friendly, easily accessible, like verifiable credential library out there. And yeah, we'll kind of go through it and kind of show you how easy it is to do a lot of this stuff. And I'm really excited to get going. And so the use case for this is basically we're going to get issued a Taylor Swift fan club credential, and then we can maybe present this credential somewhere to get some swag, right? So, so yeah, we can kind of just hop into it. So I'm kind of starting with like an empty. All I've done before.
Wait, did you? We missed a lot of what you said.
You froze for a second.
Oh, no.
Then
Am I here now?
Yeah, you're
back.
here.
You're back.
Oh man, that was kind of weird. Well, hope it doesn't happen again. I don't know, but well, basically just to recap, basically, yeah. So we're just gonna make a fan club credential for a Taylor Swift fan club credential, and we'll and basically it'll get issued to us, and then we can present it to someone, and they can maybe give us some free swag, something like that. So. And yeah, we're trying to make like the easiest credential library that there is out there. So yeah, hopefully we can follow the example, and you can kind of see how simple it is really to wrap your head around a lot of this. So kind of starting off, I'm just in an empty directory here, basically. And all I've done is I've installed just a few dependencies. So the two that we're gonna just need at the beginning here is just credentials and DIDs. So a decentralized identifier is a DID, and it's just like your ID. It's your decentralized ID of like where the credential points to, kind of thing. And then we're going to use these other ones in a little bit when we actually store one of our credentials in a DWN. But we'll get there in a little bit. So yeah, we'll just kind of kick it off. So basically, the first thing to do is we got to import the verifiable credential library, and that's from our Web5 credentials here. So yeah, after that, now, basically first things first is we also need to make an identifier for us. So we actually need to also import the DIDs, the DID library here. So DID key method. So we'll do something called a DID key, which is like a very simple decentralized identifier. And then we're going to go ahead and make a few entities here. So there's going to be two entities. There's going to be an issuer, and there's going to be us, which is like the receiver. And so we'll just do fan club issuer, and we have it like this. Await. Yeah, and that's all there is to it. So now this did a lot of stuff behind the scenes, but it actually spun up a new private key for you and a new DID key. And this is like the actual person that'll be issuing things to us. We'll go ahead and make one for us too. So Alice DID. So let's do this. Cool. So now we have our entities all set up. So now we can go ahead and like instantly create a verifiable credential. So the way our library works, the way we kind of got it going is we don't want you to like really, you don't necessarily need to understand all the ins and outs of a verifiable credential. You can get more granular and do a lot of stuff that takes a lot of technical knowledge, but we've set it up the default path where it's going to be extremely easy. If you know like baseline JavaScript, you can basically make VCs like out of the box. And the way we kind of do that is we kind of do everything with, we kind of like abstract away a lot of the VC stuff in just like any class that you want. So for instance, whoa, this AI thing got really next level. So basically we'll just say like a Swifties fan club credential. And this is just a normal JavaScript class. And for this example, we'll do, I think we do level and legit, right? So this is just this is just vanilla JavaScript here, right? And this dot legit equals legit. And so based on this,
sorry, you have a typo with the
oh, thank you.
Class name.
Oh,
Sweet rights.
Oh, whoops. Swifty. There we go.
And level. Sorry.
Yeah, something's wrong here. Oh, you're right. Yeah. Cool. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
Good stuff. Yeah, so then, man, this GitHub Copilot's getting better and better every moment here. Look at that. So yeah, basically now we can make the VC. So a VC needs a few things. So it needs, let me just kind of do it here. So we need a type. We need a issuer, an issuer did, a subject did, and we actually need like the data. And so this will make sense when I actually create it here. So we go ahead and just do a create, and now we say type. So what is the type here? Well, the type of this credential we're going to make is just a Swifties fan club credential, right? So we can always just do it like that. The issuer, and it just needs to be like this. And the issuer is literally just going to be this fan club issuer did, because they're the one that actually issues it. And then I think we have to do this. Yeah. So we have to actually get the, not the actual object, but the string that's the actual did there. And what else does a credential need? Well, it needs a subject, and that would be us. So we'll say Alice did. And then the last thing is the actual like data that went into this credential. And so all we have to do for that is just make a new instance of our class here. So actually, I'm going to kind of do this to make it nicer. Let's see. Bam. And then the actual data of our credential is just a new instance of this class. And then like we'll say level, I always like to be like, #1 fan, right? So the very top is Swifties fan club at the top, the #1 fan.
So cute.
And,
like that.
and so, yeah, guys, so this actually created a VC. So let's go ahead and run this real quick. And then we'll take some questions if someone has questions so far on this. Let's see. Oops, await. So so basically just with this very simple interface, we've created a verifiable credential, and it's unsigned, and we'll get to the signing in just a bit. But back to the king analogy thing here, like we've written the paper, but we haven't put the stamp on it yet. So that's kind of what's happening so far in here, right? We've created a VC. It's VC compliant. We do all that behind the scenes, and this is what a VC looks like kind of under the hood. Again, you don't have to know a lot of this stuff. We do a lot of this stuff for you. The big stuff to kind of think about here is the issuer, and that's the issuer that we have up here, which is the fan club issuer, and then the subject, and this would be us. We are the subject, which is Alice. So that matches up with Alice. And then this is just the data. This is just the data of a Swifties fan club credential, and so it's level and legitness basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it all maps out. So, if there's no questions for that, then we'll hop into the signing of it.
A couple questions.
Yeah.
One from me and one from the audience. So the first thing is the ID under the VC data model. Does this serve like the DID for the VC itself, or like a key factor that can be used to identify the VC like anywhere or just locally?
Yeah, so this ID can be a lot of things. It's kind of up to what the issuer of what it needs to be, but a suggested way is to just make it a universal, like a global unique ID. So it's just an ID for just people to keep track of, basically. Maybe a wallet application to keep track of it, and so it can basically just. I guess the answer is it could just be anything, but you're kind of supposed to make it a unique ID kind of thing.
That makes sense. So we have another question from Discord on LinkedIn rather. Said the PDF example was great, but as a KYC professional, a big concern is ongoing monitoring of individuals being on international watch list. Could this be addressed with VCs?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So anything that's like a PDF document or anything can be wrapped up in a VC. So just like we kind of made a Swifties fan club, there could be like a KYC credential, right? That's a really big use case of this. And the KYC credential would have like first name, last name, date of birth. It already knows. See, social security number, address, and then this would be issued by like someone, an individual could have like 10 KYC credentials, like one from Wells Fargo, one from TBD, one from Cash App, one from the government, and then like you as with your company, if you need to like verify someone is KYC compliant, then you could be like, hey, give me at least one or two of your KYC credentials. And it's like, oh, this is signed by the US government. Like, I trust this, like, oh, this is signed by Block. Like, I trust this. Signed by Wells Fargo. Like, I trust this. And yeah, so that's one of the biggest wins actually for verifiable credentials is KYC. You kind of get that for really easy and really for free, basically.
Yeah, and
That
just for
sounds good.
oh yeah, just for people who don't know what KYC
Oh,
is, it's know your client, know your customer, right? That's what
Yeah.
Yeah. There's one person that asked, and you're gonna get to this. How do we verify that the issuer did is legit? Neil's gonna show us that, but I also wanted to like boost your confidence a little bit. I mean, it's already boosted, but just a little bit more. Angie said, "Come on, deal with the analogy." So
Yeah, got it.
you can keep going.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, we'll keep going here. So like I said, so now we have verifiable credential, and now we actually need to sign it here. So we'll just kind of just to keep our log going here. So let's make sure this still works. Yeah, so we have our unsigned VC, and it's right there. So now to actually sign it, VC JWT. Yeah, we have a pretty simple way. We literally just go vc.sign. So there you go. And like, who do you want to sign it with, right? So what we have currently right now is just the fan club issuer, right? So the fan club issuer is going to actually sign this VC, and yeah. So we'll kind of see what this looks like. So this gets in the weeds a little bit, but basically we've created this JWT. And a JWT is it's used in a lot of things, computer science, for logging in and stuff. But we can kind of decode it here, and you can kind of see our verifiable credentials still wrapped inside of this big crazy string. And again, you don't need to worry about this so much. We take care of a lot of this behind the scenes, but basically you can kind of still see our Swifties fan club and our level 1 fan and legit is true. So we're all good to go. It's just kind of wrapped up in this signed thing. So basically someone's going to hand you this signed thing and you're like, wait, is this legit? How do I know if this is legit? So you would actually just do a verification, right? So like we do something like this with our library here. So we do verify credential.verify. So there you go. And then we just verify the VC JWT, and then we say sign. And yeah, and then if it's not verified, it'll do an error here. So let's see. And then from here, it'll be like, this is verified. And then you can be like, because now that you know it's verified, you know that like whoever signed it is the official signer. So, I think we're going to change this verify to be a little more robust. Like it'll give you a little more information, but basically it gives you all the information right now, just like implicitly. And so we'll just see if this works here. This is verified. So basically like there's no funny business that can happen, right? Like, let me just kind of maybe explain this a little more. So this is legit and it's signed by this did. Where's the issuer? Yeah, so it's signed by this did. And then like, let's say you go on Taylor Swift's website.com, right? And she'd be like, oh yeah, this is legit, the legit Taylor Swift fan club website. And this is our did. Like if anything is signed by this did, it is authentic, it is official. We are the only ones with the private key. And let's say I'm like a hacker, right? I'm trying to change this. Well, it's gonna almost not let me do it here. Can I change? Anyway, if I'm a super hacker and I like change what's happening in here, right? And then we're gonna try to verify this. You're like, hey, I'm in the fan club, guys. And they kind of make this like special thing, and they do all this. And then if they actually try to like verify, let's see what happens. Bam, not verification failed. So I have an invalid JWT, but if someone would actually form this correctly and they put like, oh, me, look, it says that she, in the fan club, but actually it won't be legit because it's like someone has tampered with the seal basically, right?
Yeah.
Someone has tried to forge this seal and it's not going to work out.
So an example of a curious question following the seal example. So let's say, what's it called? The king did not write the letter, right? But someone was able to get their hands on the king's seal and stamp the letter. The reason I'm asking this question is when you're creating the VC, you have a place where we pass the issuer DID and then someone else signs. So is there a check or is there a guarantee that the issuer will always be the signee or the signer rather? Or the other way around as well?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so the issuer should always be the signer, I believe. if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I think kind of what you brought up is like, if your private key is compromised, then yeah, you're kind of screwed. We can do this. There's a revocation kind of thing. So if the fan club private key got compromised and like, oh, all those things, all these new verifiable credentials are like, faked by someone because someone stole our private key. They can revoke all the credentials and then kind of make a new private key and then secure it good this time and then like issue new credentials. So I guess that's the way around that.
Sorry, if we have so for example, I'm creating a VC and I do not pass, like, say, my issuer ID to the object, but I am signing it as the issuer. Is that an issue, or does it? Because basically my question is like, we're identifying the issuer twice, as the signer and as the issuer did in the data object, right? So I'm just curious as to like the redundancy of it, if that was intentional or if it's just something that is still like being worked on.
No, I think it's intentional. I think the VC data model, basically the person who's issuing it also should be the one that signs it. If someone else signs it, then it won't be a valid VC, basically.
Gotcha.
I believe so. I got to triple check on that a little bit, but I'm pretty sure it's like that.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. So this is kind of like the base layer. These are like, level 1 layer of like verifiable credentials and what our library can do. So also we can do this one last thing is like, oh, hey, someone's given me this crazy long string and it is verified, but now I got to kind of see like what it is. I got to see like what's actually in it. So we have this thing where we can just parse it. And again, we try to make it really easy. Anything you want to do with the verifiable credential, you just call the verifiable credential, you go dot, like, okay, I want to see what's in here. So we have, parse VC here. And yeah, and we just kind of do this and we should get our like VC back. Oh, whoops, parse VC. See, that AI stuff will get you in trouble. Oops, what is it? Oh, here, no, parse JWT, my bad. Here it is.
Okay, so this step, and I think I missed this when you showed this in Discord. This step is literally only so you can see what's inside of the VC, not for anything else. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like we had the letter opened, right? And then we've kind of closed it and we sealed it.
Yeah.
And kind of the verify is kind of like verifying the seal. Yeah. And then this parse is kind of like opening it back up and being like actually reading what it is again.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I think this. I'm gonna go with this forever now. I think I really like this example on that. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, now you can see that. So you can see we had our initial VC in the log here. Yeah, we've actually signed it, so we get this big signed object. We can verify a signed object, and then after that, we can actually get the verifiable credential back, kind of thing, to actually see like, okay, what level is this person? Oh, they're a #1 fan. Got it. They're legit. Got it. It's legit. All right. Yeah. So I guess if it's your first like foray into verifiable credentials, that's the most important part for you. I guess now we're going to dive into like a little more, there's a little more process you can do with verifiable credentials. We call it presentation exchange. There's like a very formal process on how to exchange credentials in a verified way. So if some of this gets a little bit, in the weeds for a lot of people, like, don't worry about it. It took me a long time to really lock it in on this. But I'll try to, again, make it pretty easy to follow as possible. Yeah, so this is, we're kind of in the presentation exchange section now. So I'm going to paste this in. So this, in presentation exchange, there's something called a presentation definition. So this is kind of like, so if we have our Taylor Swift fan club credential and we're trying to get some swag, right? So they're going to be like, okay, you want this swag? Okay, I tell you what, here's this object called a presentation definition. And basically a lot of these fields aren't super important, but the biggest ones to look at here is like, okay, like we need a credential that was signed by the Taylor Swift fan club president, and we need to see that she actually says you're legit. You know what I mean? And so if this was like date of birth, right? And then you try to give a credential that only has legit, and not date of birth, like this won't like satisfy the requirements, and you won't you won't be able to get the swag, right? So to get the swag, you need a credential that's issued by Taylor Swift's fan club, and you need it to be legit, basically.
So just for clarity, is the presentation exchange the process that makes it easier for you to show your credential to like a third party or something like that? Like,
Exactly. Yeah. Like without presentation exchange, it'd get really messy, right? Like you'd go to the DMV and I don't know, they're like, hey, it would almost be back to the old system. They're like, hey, we need your date of birth. We need your this, we need this. And you're like, okay, I guess I'll email you my verifiable credential, right? And it's kind of the same, you're back to the same problem, right? So this presentation exchange is like it's like a protocol for like maybe computers almost to just go back and forth a bit. And it's kind of done like in a, like if you meet the requirements for a presentation exchange with this presentation definition, then the computer can like kind of automatically issue your driver's license or let you into the website or whatever.
Gotcha. And it only shares the information that's needed. Like it only needs to match up the definition. It's not going to be like, here's this person's name, et cetera, et cetera. It's just the information that's needed for it. Okay. Thank you.
Pretty much. Yeah. So yeah, we can so maybe it'll almost make a little more sense when I do the next thing here, maybe. So let's see. So first we got to make sure that like our presentation definition is legit. So, this has like a very special formatting. If you kind of put, if you put a different field in here, like banana, right? This would not be a valid presentation definition. So this is just a little helper function to make sure that this is like a legit presentation definition. So we just validate the definition and catch. Here we go. And then console. Valid. So let's just see if that works. Yep. So our presentation definition is valid. So that's just a good first step, when you're creating one of these, right? And this would be the person who'd be creating one of these would probably be like the person giving the swag, right? So then now we have to make sure. So now we're kind of like, we give the person that is giving us the swag, we give them our credential, right, in the computer land. And basically they got to make sure that this actually like satisfies the presentation definition. And so the way we have it is, first we have our VC JWTs, and that is our signed VC. And then it is our presentation definition. So let's see. Something of this.
Is it the extra bracket?
Yeah. Yeah, you got it. Yeah. And so basically all this is doing is it's kind of like lining it up, right? It's kind of like, hey, does this VC line up with this presentation definition? And it should be valid. So I'll show you like an invalid here. So we're valid. So it lines up. But what if I did this? If I said, hey, we need a date of birth, right? So this is like a date of birth presentation definition. Like, hey, we need date of birth. But then the VC you're passing in, which we created earlier, it doesn't have date of birth, right? It has, it kind of gives you a big reason, right? They don't match up because, this one has legit and not date of birth, and this one wants date of birth, right? So I hope that makes sense on what the satisfies does. So we'll go back to legit, and so we make it valid again. And then, so now this is us kind of, there's like one extra object in the presentation exchange kind of nomenclature. It's the a presentation submission. So this is like actually when you're going to like submit this object to the fan club. You're like, okay, look, I satisfy the presentation definition. Everything's legit. Here's like everything wrapped up in a nice bundle for you. So you can kind of like independently verify that I am legit. Like I meet your requirements. Here's all my stuff, right? It's all in a nice little bundle. Here you go. And so to do that, it's very, very similar to how we had it. And I'll just paste this in. So it's kind of the same stuff here. So we just do presentation exchange, and it's the same parameters as this. So let's see if I just do this. Oops. So you can see that's just the VC JWTs and then the presentation definition. The difference between this is just like, hey, does it satisfy it, true or false? And this is actually giving you this thing called a presentation result object. So let's see what that is real quick. So again, this kind of gets in the weeds with like presentation exchange, but let's kind of look at our object here. So this is a presentation submission object, and basically it kind of like maps things up. If pretend this can get really complicated. Right now, we only have one thing, which is like legit, right? But there could be like date of birth, social security number, address, and they could be like in 7 different credentials, right? It's like, oh shit, I have this one from over here, I have this one over here, and then you know. So there's like this thing kind of maps it all up, right? So it's like, hey, that thing you wanted that was for legitness, where to find that is you have to go to all the verifiable credentials that we're gonna give you here, and it's in the 0 index, right? So you can kind of imagine this map could be like 20 things if it's something really intense, right? It could be address, like I said, all this, and it's like, okay, address is the verifiable credential, but it's in the one that's like, you know, the 3rd index, you know. So that's kind of what a presentation submission does. And so yeah, then there you go. Then basically, after you have that, now you would basically give this presentation submission to the swag. They would just kind of look at it and do their verification check, and then they would understand that you're 100% legit, no funny business can happen, and they give you some really sweet swag. Yeah, so that's kind of the end we have for the actual like Web5 credentials package. We do have a little bonus here where we're going to actually make a new VC and store it in our DWN.
Okay.
But yeah, before that, it's a good place, you know, if we have any questions or we're looking on time and all that. And
yeah, we got questions. I'll let Ace ask them because
Sure.
I think I've been tracking them. But yeah, there's people that are interested.
Yeah, I think one of the first questions, probably because of how you implemented the presentation exchange, was if it's the same thing as creating a protocol.
Oh, protocol in DWN?
Yes.
I think they're very, very similar. Yes. And so, you know, to be honest, I'm not like the protocol expert on DWN stuff, but I've seen that they're very, very similar actually. And, you know, you can actually kind of do, I think Daniel's working on this, but you can kind of do like a full presentation exchange in DWN land kind of thing. And so, you know, DWNs could maybe be used as like an alternative to presentation exchange, or maybe it has its own way, or maybe it kind of feeds into it. But yes, there's definitely ways, and I think a lot of them are coming soon where you can transfer credentials around on people's DWN basically, and maybe a much easier, simpler to understand way actually too.
Gotcha. Another question is it possible to only share a subset of information from a given VC? For example, say I receive a VC from Social Security Department that validated all their information. And just the second part to this question, because for example, from what you've shown, the developer or the person verifying the claim can choose which of the information they are looking for, right? Is it legit, like you showed? Is it their name, their date of birth? Is there any way for the presenter, the handler of the VC, to be sure of all the information that has been requested, so that there's no malicious request from the person that is verifying the claim to get access to data that you don't necessarily want to share?
Yeah, absolutely. So, so actually in this example, we did share extra information actually, right? Because we have a credential and it shows 2 things, right? It shows level and legitness, right? But they only actually needed legit, right? But you know, the only VC that we have right now is the one that has legit. So we actually had to give them the whole VC. So they do see both things. They see the legit and the level, even though they only needed to see the legit. So there's a solution for this, and we have it implemented, well, very close on our other library, and it is coming soon to this too, but it'll be it's called selective disclosure. It's really deep, really intense, but there would basically be like one extra step in here where I don't know how we would do it. We'd probably do this like SD true. So selective disclosure, I don't know. We may make this true by default, but and basically what this would do is like it would do some very interesting stuff with your verifiable credential to kind of cut it into pieces and then only give them the very small piece that they need. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. But yeah, like, yeah, if you're not careful, I guess you can actually kind of give extra information with your VCs that maybe people don't have. But selective disclosure fixes this, and coming soon, TM. You know.
Nice. I think next question is there a way to cancel a VC?
So what now? To
Is there any way to cancel a VC?
oh, cancel it. Yeah. So there's this whole thing called a credential revocation. So it's and again, that's coming soon as well. We have it in another library, but not in this one. And so we are gonna put it in this one. But yeah, there's credential revocation. So basically, when you would create a verifiable credential, there would be this new thing, revocable, true. And now the issuer, so the Taylor Swift fan club is like, man, this person, like, we're too wild at the last meetup, you know, like we got to revoke, you know, or they're not paying their fees or whatever it was, right? So they, you know, they have full authority to revoke the credential. So they would basically update, they would update something called a credential status list. So it gets a little bit deep again, but we'll talk about this. But it basically flips them to, you know, revoked. And then when they try to like issue that VC or like, you know, present that VC for some swag, they're like, oh, you know, you were legit, you know, you were #1 fan, but now you're revoked. So, you know, pay your dues or whatever, and then maybe we'll get you back. We'll flip you back to legit. So.
Another question from Discord. I can't paste it right now, but it says, what security concerns should I take into account, especially regarding the management and storage of private keys in the code? Yeah.
That's a really great question. Yeah. So, you know, we've done so much stuff behind the scenes. I think the #1 stuff is to like store your private keys in a really legit way. You know, the most default, the one that you kind of can't mess up, you know, the easiest way is you do Amazon KMS or some other key storage kind of thing. And, you know, luckily we have your back because, you know, what this create, it creates private keys and it's just doing it in my browser or just right here locally. But I'd have to look at the documentation. But yeah, you just kind of load up these options and you could get you could kind of plug in your KMS. So I don't, you know, this is kind of pseudocode, right? They'd be like, you know, KMS equals, you know, new Amazon KMS. And then, you know, that'd be connected to your, well, there you go. See, and that'd be connected to your like Amazon, and it has your private keys. Your private keys can never leave that thing. It's like impossible. And then all you'd have to do is pass this thing in to here. Whatever it is. And this is pseudocode, so, but it's gonna be pretty close to how we kind of have it working. And boom. So now when you're actually creating and signing and doing all these things, it's actually the private key is never touching this stuff. It's getting signed in, you know, in your secure place for your key storage. And you don't have to use Amazon KMS. You can use a lot of other key services, but including your own. But yeah, that's a good way to, that's step 1 on being very secure, is making sure those private keys are in an insanely safe location, basically.
Awesome. Thank you. I think that's all the questions we have right now.
Yeah. Let's move into self-signing. And then actually,
yeah.
I don't know, maybe you will go over this, but I asked Angie this, and I'm curious from your perspective too. What would be a reason that someone would be self-signing a VC?
Yeah, this is a really good question. So I think self-signing will be a really big part of the initial verifiable credential like ecosystem and landscape. It's literally like self-signing is the exact same thing as filling out a form on the internet, right? What is your first name? You know, you could lie, you could put your first name, last name, but you know, but if you actually want something legit, like if you actually want a KYC credential from the government, you're going to type in the real stuff, right? You know, if you type in a fake social security number or whatever, then, you know, they're going to do a background check, right? And then they're going to be like, oh, I'm not going to issue you this. This is like fake, right? And so, so yeah, you can kind of think about a self-signed VC is just stuff that you that it's like a form, right? Your date of birth, your first name, your last name. And yeah, I guess depending on certain websites, if you're signing for this website and they want all this information, you could just self-sign all this, like, oh yeah, my name is Bob and all this, and give it over. But yeah, so that's.
I like to think of it as anything that I have the authority on. So like, what's my favorite food? What's my favorite color? What's like my first name, like you said, stuff that it is mine, and I'm the only one that can confirm, oh yes, this is what it is, I guess.
Yep, totally got it. Yep. But yeah, we'll kind of dive into this a bit. So let me just kind of do a little bit of stuff here. So we're getting into Web5 land. And so we're about to like create a user agent and a Web5 client, and then we're going to like spin this stuff up. But, and we're going to kind of create a new DID from the top. So basically the way, and this is going to change kind of soon. A lot of this will be much simpler to do verifiable credential stuff in DWN land. But the current way we have to do it is like, we have to create a DID and then kind of connect that DID to the user agent. And then we kind of stick the user agent in our Web5 instance, basically. So this is kind of the way to go in about it here. And I will just kind of gloss over a little bit of this. So right here. So the important thing is we actually have our Web5 instance with the actual decentralized identifier, which we're going to use the same DID for signing and stuff. So now the same DID that signs verifiable credentials is actually the same private key and DID that's actually spun up in our DWN. So I hope that makes sense. It's basically like I'm doing a self-signed verifiable credential, maybe with my date of birth, because that's what we're about to do here. And you can verify it's me, and you can verify that my DID matches my Web5's DWN's DID. So a lot of this stuff will change, but I have all this code that y'all can just copy. But basically, like the TLDR is like to basically connect a DID that you can create VCs with to your Web5. You kind of have to do this stuff here. And yeah, so this will be starting a user agent, and this will be like the password that actually like encrypts the user agent stuff, I think. And then we actually import the DID in there. And this is the well, even that KMS I was talking about earlier, like we're using local, and this, in a real instance, this would be like Amazon KMS or some real KMS service. And yeah, the actual identity of the Web5 agent is your DID that we created here. And yeah, so let's just see if this is good. Web5. Oh, sorry, I missed a few things. So
it, right?
Yep, you're right. So yeah, like I said, most of the credential stuff we were messing with this, but with Web5 stuff, we're going to get into this, and then there's a few special imports we have to do. So I'll just do it here. So you're familiar with these that we did at the top, and then we have to get our Web5 and our Web5 user agent, and then I'm not sure if this is still necessary. I think it actually is, but this is in the quick start guide. If you use Web5 stuff, you kind of know you have to do this.
Yeah, I think just for Node 18 or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, let's see now. Cool. Yeah. So we are good to go. Connected to Web5. Okay, cool. So all we've done now is this, we just created a new Web5 agent, but we have the DID available to do stuff. So basically you've kind of seen a lot of this before, but now we're going to create a new credential. So I'm going to copy paste a little bit of this. So this time we're creating a date of birth credential. And so remember, we need a type. So it's a date of birth credential. We need an issuer. So the issuer is us, is me. And then the subject is also me, right? So this is like, I'm the issuer and the subject, like my date of birth, right? And yeah, then you just put your date of birth here, 11/11/89, something like that. And yeah, and then you go ahead and sign it. So actually we're gonna do the same stuff we did up there. So let's just see if this is signed here. Yep, so you can kind of see we have we have a JWT verifiable credential that kind of shows that, yeah, this is signed by me and my date of birth is this. So that's all the stuff you've seen before. And now here's a little bit of magic where we'll actually store. So just like storing most things in a DWN, if you guys have messed with DWN, it's very, very similar. So we basically just do Web5 DWN records create, and the data is actually our signed VC. And then this is kind of the buckets that it goes into. So like the date format, this is going to be like all your VCs would kind of go into this bucket. And there's like a sub bucket for like all the schemas. So that bucket would be like date of birth, right? And so, yeah, then all of those, like basically this VC would get stored into your DWN. And actually we can kind of run this. And where's the record ID? Connected to Web5. Sorry.
While you're doing that, I'll just repeat what I wrote here. For if anybody doesn't know what a DWN is, it's a decentralized web node, and that's just essentially like your personal data store in Web5. You can store anything that you want in there.
Yeah. Signed. Create. Okay, it should be working now. Let's see. There we go. So yeah, so now actually we've already created our VC and we've stored it into our DWN, and we can get it as like a record ID. And yeah, this is maybe how a lot of wallets would work, or how we kind of envision the Web5 world working with your DWN. Yeah, you'd have a lot of VCs stored in your DWN, and you could kind of reference it as a record ID. And then, now let's say someone is like, hey, do you want into I need your date of birth to get into this bar or whatever. So, you can allow your DWN to basically send the VC over, or he can actually look at it and verify that it's legit. So a lot of this stuff is kind of coming soon on the DWN front, and then just the last thing is like, so after we've stored it in our DWN, we can go ahead and recover it, so we can read it. So this is the same thing as any other DWN message, but you basically just do a read, and where's the record? Oh wait, no, we're good. And yeah, you would just do a filter like this and actually read it. So then you can just, yeah, that should work. And we probably get our VC back here. So here's our VC record. So record ID, yeah. And then to actually get the actual VC all the way back out is you would actually read the record data here. And so you do, yeah, read record data text, and you actually get the VC back. And there you go. And if you actually wanted to see what was in here again, what was it? Parse JWT. So we kind of, yeah, went full circle here. Let's see.
Oh, maybe we forgot to catalog it.
Oh, touche. Good call. There we go. So we're back, and we have our date of birth here, right? So just to kind of recap what we did here, we created a new DWN, and we created it in a special way where we can access this DID key for signing and stuff. Created a new date of birth verifiable credential. And then we signed it from ourselves. We stuck it into our own DWN, and then we've retrieved it from our DWN, and then we've parsed it again so we can see it again, basically. So yeah, guys. So I hope that last part wasn't so much. And the biggest, like, coming soon TM again is like all of this lines of code, like all of this would just be web5.vc. And then once you do this, this is coming soon. You literally just do this one line, nice. And it does all this. It'll just kind of like a shortcut to do all this stuff behind the scenes. It'll create a new VC. It'll sign it with your DWN. It'll also, you probably do storage true or something. There may be one extra thing, right? Whatever. Storage false, storage true. and it'll be in your DWN. And then,
That's exciting.
and then to to send, you do something like this, right? Send. You can just send, and you can make a new VC, and then you would send it to someone, right? So I want to issue you a VC, whatever. So that's coming soon. That's kind of why I went fast on this part, because it's kind of like it's here for now, and you can do it all, but it may not be here for long, kind of thing on that last part. But
yeah,
Gotcha.
That's really cool. That would make it such a smooth developer experience.
For sure, yeah. That's what we're going for. That's why I'm really hyped on our project here. I feel like we're trying to make really, really out there stuff that's really in the weeds, and we're just trying to really bring it in and just let a lot of people just kind of get this going. That's how you get adoption on this stuff, So
Yeah, I love
Awesome.
it. I did want to really quickly highlight that Angie said if you want to make your own VC, your own fan club VC, she just published a tutorial.
nice.
She put the link right there, so go ahead and click it or type it in, since maybe you see it on the screen and you can't click it. But yeah.
Yeah, I think we're getting close to the end, but we have one more question from Discord real quick. Is there a difference between storing VCs and DWNs versus wallets?
Yeah. Yes and no. So, you can use a DWN as a wallet, but a DWN comes with a lot of other really cool stuff. Basically, you can almost think of like DWN as maybe like a Dropbox, but it's like fully decentralized and really programmable. It's like, okay, the US government can drop stuff in my Dropbox, but this person can't, right? Stuff like that. If you just store it in a wallet, it's just like a Dropbox, just maybe only for you, right? There's no protocols, there's no really fancy stuff, there's no duplication. A really vanilla wallet can't really do much, but it can do enough, right? You can store your VCs in a wallet and maybe present them to the government or whatever. But a DWN opens so much more possibilities, So
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you want to take over your questions?
Yes, it's very, very important questions, Neil. Well, first of all, thank you for that demonstration. I thought it was very clear. I'm like, join the DevRel team. Like, that was really good.
No, thanks. Thank you.
But okay, my first very important question for you is, what's your favorite food?
Oh, my favorite food, man. Shoot. Like these days, I'm all about just like pizza. Pizza and steak, that's like always a classic. I'll do pizza any day though. I like Detroit style pizza. I tried that like a few years ago for the first time. Detroit style pizza is like the best pizza.
I never had Detroit style. What's it like? What's it?
It's kind of like deep dish. I mean, I don't know the very technical whatever, but it's like deep dish-ish, but they do something with the cheese on top or pepperoni. Yeah, it's real good though. It's real good.
I gotta try it. I love pizza too, but I know a lot of people like New York style. I'm not a big fan. I feel like it's like slipping off the pizza.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah. Detroit, man, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing with that. So.
Try it. Okay. Next question is, if you could have a superpower.
Oh man.
What would it be?
Whew. The flying's kind of cool. We could probably go with flying for now. It's pretty good. I think teleporting actually. Flying, teleporting, because dude, like I love traveling, but getting into a plane and the car, you could just teleport anywhere. Like, I want to take this meeting on top of a mountain, right? Or whatever. I would just take my 4G, just teleport to a mountain, be like, let's take this meeting on a mountain, right? So, and then for the afternoon, I'll be in Hawaii, like, let's go.
Just with a click. Oh, like, can we get that done with some technology?
Yeah, we do after Web 5. That's like in Web 6, I think. That's coming.
Teleportation is definitely one of the more commonly mentioned thingy. For me, it's combining duplication and teleportation. So if I can replicate myself, like Kagebunshin, if you watch anime, and then just be able to teleport on top of that, I'm unstoppable.
Yeah, like you could get so much work done, or like anything. You'd be like, I'm playing video games, but I'm also coding.
That's right.
I'm coding, playing video games, and sleeping.
It's sleep.
That's pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Neil.
Yeah.
Last but not least,
all right.
A Swiftie thing, but I'm about Beyonce. What's your favorite Beyonce song?
Favorite song on T Swift?
No, from Beyonce.
Oh, from
I mean, I
Beyonce.
guess you could say T Swift. You could say T Swift.
Something
But
about I'm not sure.
oh no.
Something about a boy, something about a girl. I don't whatever that song is. I don't know.
Okay. You seemed very ready for the T Swift one though.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know. Something about a mansion, something about a boy, something about Taylor Swift. That's about all I know. That's pretty good.
So you're like the idea of the song, but you're like the name of it, you don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't really know too much. But I'm just trying to sneak into that fan club though,
Number one fan.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah, this was really great. Do you want people to check you out online or anything? Or
Oh man. Yeah, you can just always check out I don't know. You can do my GitHub more, I guess. So
let me see. Is it Neil?
Yeah, Nitro-Neil, yep.
Nitro-Neil. I'll put it on the screen. Check out his commits, y'all.
I guess so. Yeah, that's the social media these days. Yeah. So.
It's a social coding platform. GitHub. Yeah. But thank you so much. I think Ace was gonna say something and then I cut him off. So I let him speak through. But yeah.
I think someone from Discord just confirmed the name of the song. I think it's called If I Were a Love Story.
Sure, there it is. Yes. Yeah. Let's go with that one. Thank you. Thank you guys.
But yeah, thank you so much, Neil.
It sounded like that person. I don't know if they're like making a joke, but I think they like combined the Beyonce song and the Taylor Swift song, like If I Were a Boy by Beyonce and Love Story by Taylor Swift.
Oh, gotcha.
The AI can make that happen.
I have no idea.
In middle school and high school, I did really love Taylor Swift, but I don't know, I fell off afterwards. Okay, so thank you so much, y'all. This was really fun and a really great learning experience. I appreciate you for coming on and sharing your time, and also Ace, thanks for the really good questions too. Like you always have really great questions, and thanks to the audience for being engaged and stuff like that.
Thank you for being an amazing host.
You guys were great. This was really fun.
Awesome.
All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you for joining, and see you next time. Happy holidays.